In business, trust equals speed. If you want to scale your company, grow your company, you want to grow faster, you want to increase the trust the company has in you, you want your team to trust you more, these are some of the mentalities to adopt as an entrepreneur. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Famous quote by Bruce Lee. And a lot of people take that quote and they apply it to meditation, to a Zen moment, to maybe just a great positive quote on Instagram, but you can apply that to business as well. Part of being an entrepreneur and increasing the trust that a company has in you or your CEO or the company, the people that are counting on you to get things done, is to take a project from A to Z, to get something going in your company, a department, and build it out from A to Z, to get somebody who's new as an employee, brand new, onboard them and get them to get results, get them to become independent. Getting something from A to Z increases the trust that's placed on you in order to take on bigger projects. You got a small project, you can take that to completion, you get a bigger project. Next thing you know, you're sitting back managing multiple projects and managing multiple people that are managing multiple. It's just a never-ending cycle. So what's a key thing to being counted on and being trusted at a company? Keep the water moving, keep results going, keep the team going. That's a big part of it. So let me give you a sample workflow. For example, we do a lot of video production at Valuetainment. So let me give you, when we sit down as a team, where does it start, Mario, and where does it go? Where does it end? How do you guys keep the water moving at Valuetainment or with video productions? We have 4 main areas that we talk about whenever we meet. We ideate. When you ideate, you're sitting with a group, you're around the people that have the ideas, and you say, look, we're considering this kind of an idea. What do you think if we start doing that? I have a new idea. Over the weekend, I spent some time and here's what I came up with. We ideate. Next, we coordinate. So after we ideate, come up with ideas, we start coordinating. All right, when would we have to shoot by? How many people? What's the budget? Who's gonna be there? You know, what is the outcome? How do we determine success with this project? We coordinate. Next, we do production. So we came up with the ideas, then we coordinated how to get it done, and then we start doing the actual production. Production can involve a lot of things. The video team, the graphics, the B-roll, the type of text we're gonna use in the video, the intro bumper, what's the call to action, where are we gonna guide traffic at the end? We make sure that we produce a great product. Came up with the idea, we coordinated it, now we produced it, now we gotta distribute it. Now we gotta get that out there, right? We gotta get it out to the people, we gotta get it out to the audience, we gotta make sure the views are there, we gotta make sure that we're putting the video in the right place, that we marketed it somehow, that maybe we put ads behind it. We definitely like an organic approach to anything we do at Valuetainment. We're not a big buy ads and send a lot of fake traffic. We're very organic. Let's see what the audience likes. We listen to them and then we do that. But then the last part, and this is where a lot of people struggle. This is where a lot of companies maybe just don't get it. Here's where the entrepreneur comes in and says, guys, we got to keep the water moving. We came up with a great idea. We coordinated it. We produced it. We distributed it. But now let's analyze it. Let's talk data. Let's talk about the results that it got. Let's have a strategic conversation now about what do we do next. All right. About what we do next. All right. We got a video out. It got some views. It got results. What do we do next? Did it do well? Did it perform? Did it get the results we were looking for? What do we do after this? How do we adjust and pivot? I was talking to Zach, one of our teammates here, and he said, Mario, there's something missing in this flow. If you want to keep the water moving at the end, after a project is distributed, why don't we adjust? So we adjust and we pivot according to the results that we got. Most companies don't adjust. They come up with a project, all right, it's done, bye, see you later, it's done. If you adjust, then you can determine where to put effort or where to put energy next. So I want to give you 4 pillars to a mentality that an entrepreneur has when approaching a workflow, when approaching taking something from A to Z. Now, there are a lot of givens. Mario, but how do I know I'm the right guy in the entrepreneur? Go watch a video on signs if you're an entrepreneur or not. But Mario, why would I put the effort into this company? Why would I give it my all and keep the water moving? I can do my job and generalize, or I can specialize. Maybe I just specialize in doing my job and get out of here because I'm not going to get rewarded anyway. I'm not sure about your company and what you're dealing with there. Well, you know what? I do this already and I'm doing all the results. I'm keeping the water going, but nobody appreciates me. That's a different kind of a conversation. What I'm talking about is a basic mental framework. Everybody needs a mental framework when they come into work. What box do I need to make sure that I stick around? There's so many distractions every day. There's always fires. There's always somebody either wanting to quit. Maybe we talked about quitting. There's a rumor to put out. There's an issue with HR. There's an issue when you came in. You're not in the best mood. There's always something that's going to happen in the workplace. And we have to manage those emotions. What I'm talking about is a framework so that when you come in, You know, am I getting things from A to Z today? Am I keeping the water moving today? There's a couple things that you have to do as an intrapreneur to make sure that you're effective at moving things forward. First thing is have a pulse. Now, have a pulse doesn't mean be alive. I hope that's a given, and I'm glad that you're alive. What I'm saying is have a pulse on how every department is doing. Have a pulse on the leaders on your team. Have a pulse on how people are feeling about the project. Have a pulse. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be micromanaging. You don't have to be involved in every single aspect of the process. Look, I think more companies and more managers need to trust their people. If you can't trust people, then you are bound to have everything fall on your desk. And the biggest weakness and the biggest swamp that I've ever seen is an individual or leader that doesn't trust people. Because if you can't trust your team to get a job done, you might as well have all the water stop at your desk, and eventually it's a swamp. Eventually it smells pretty bad. Eventually it kind of kills everything around it. And if you want to be an individual that kind of dies with all of the projects on your plate, don't trust people. You got to trust some people, man. You know, the reason we don't trust people is we want what? We want the recognition, we want the reward, we want the raise, we want the bonus, we want the accolades, we want the social media promotion, we want all the praise. But sometimes it's amazing how if you just empower individuals, how much more they get done because they feel they trust me to get this done. So having a pulse isn't necessarily having all of the projects on your plate, but it's knowing enough about what's going on with different departments, enough about the key people touching the key projects in those departments, and knowing enough to have a pulse so you know whether you need to step in or you can step back, and at least you know that the water is moving in that area. Point number 2 is a concept that a lot of companies don't talk about called the flag carrier mentality. If you want to come into work and you want to make sure that somebody's keeping the water moving if you're not around, you need flag carriers. What is a flag carrier? Now, there's different kinds of flag carriers. I'll let Patrick do the explaining in maybe another video because he's amazing at that. He has so many people that take it upon themselves to make sure that things are advancing, that things are moving forward. A flag carrier is somebody who understands what is expected to get done, has your back, protects the company, protects you, and will not let a project or something hit the ground. They will not let a project fall. They will not let something fall through the crack. They will remind you constantly, hey, remember that one thing? They don't believe in just doing what they do. They believe in having your back. Eric here, who's a former Marine, says having your six, right? They always make sure that, hey man, reminder, remember this. Hey, just want to remind you about that. Hey, is there anything I can do about that? A flag carrier is not an intrapreneur. A flag carrier is somebody with such strong character that they're always looking out for your best interest. But you having that mentality assures that if you forgot to keep the water moving, that person is there to keep the water moving. Those people are very important. But if you come in with a flag carrier mentality, you're also looking out for your CEO. You're looking out for your department leaders. You're looking out for the team. You know, you're looking out for other people. Being a flag carrier is having the company's back, having somebody's back, having the entrepreneur's back, or having the executive team's back. But regardless, if you're a flag carrier, you got to have a little bit of that 6 cents, 7 cents, whatever you want to call it, to think a little bit past what you're doing and your job, and making sure that no balls are dropped in terms of a project, that it has a deadline, has a deliverable. You're making sure that things are getting done. So at this point, you're probably asking yourself, well, Mario, what does having a pulse on the departments and leadership team, what does being a flag carrier and having that mentality mean about trust? Well, if an executive team or CEO knows that you know enough about what's going on, that your team knows enough about what's going on, that you're not going to let a project be dropped, that your team's not going to let a project be dropped because you're leading the right way. You're leading with love, leading with relationships, leading with the right kind of empowerment for your team, then they can trust you more versus the start and stop relationship. A lot of executive teams and CEOs have start-stop relationships with their entrepreneurs or with their managers because they can't trust them. So they have to constantly get to a certain point, I need approval. They get to a certain point, can you please look over this? They get to a certain point, we just caught some mistakes. We can't trust you. And if I can't trust you, I can't move faster because I always have to come back. I have to slow down. I have to go reverse. And I have to double check, double work. That relationship does not increase speed. It slows things down. So in order to increase trust, we have to make sure we have a pulse on what's going on. We have to make sure we have a flag carrier mentality. And the next one is we have to make sure we know and grasp the vision. The vision is so important when it comes to trust, because if I'm an executive team or if there's a CEO, if I'm working for you and you're the CEO or you're the executive team, my mentality is I understand your vision. not my vision, not where I want to go. I understand where you want to go, where the company is supposed to go, and I'm also communicating that to the team. There's got to be an aspect of knowing, does Mario know what we really want for this project and where we end up? And then can you communicate that to the team? We did a whole other video on how to communicate the vision and the importance of communicating the end game, communicating the vision to your teammates in order to feel motivated. But when you come in and your mental framework, you know what's going on, you have that flag carrier mentality, you won't let the balls be dropped in terms of the projects, and you also have the vision for the project and you can communicate that clearly. That also increases trust because we don't have to go back. You know, sometimes in our team and sometimes in our production team, we will have moments where it's like, who has the vision of this project? Well, I thought it was this. I thought it was that. I thought it was this. Anytime you're in a conversation and more than 2 or 3 people don't know what the final product or don't know what the direction was, somewhere there was an issue in that communication from the top to the bottom. And if that's an issue, there's no trust. Because at this point, you kind of have to backtrack and make sure that the roots of this project are still intact. And you have to make sure that the vision for this project is still intact, or you realize we wasted time, resources, energy, and now we have to scratch it and maybe start all over. And that's costly when it comes to running a business. An intrapreneur would have known what? The pulse on what's going on the whole time. An intrapreneur would make sure to look out, you know, am I being a flag carrier? Do I have flag carriers? Oh, that's right. I got 1 and 2 people here that have my back. And then they would know the vision for this project and where it's supposed to end up to make sure that I'm still trusted to deliver. And the last point is more of a mentality. Done is better than perfect. Sometimes I see a lot of companies or people that I talk to and they haven't completed a project or they haven't launched a newsletter or they haven't posted something on social or they haven't met with their team because maybe they don't have all the details. And meanwhile, they get all of their pieces together. Another company said, you know what? We don't have to be perfect. Let's just get it done. Let's just go out there and get it done. And obviously get it done doesn't mean you wing it and you go casual and you do it sloppy, but it just means sometimes you're not going to be perfect. Sometimes you have to understand you got to keep, in order to keep the water moving, and in order to increase that speed, eventually things have to get done. Things have to get launched. They have to get distributed. They have to get out there. You got to get it live. You got to go live with it. You got to just launch that product. Sometimes done is better than perfect, or the water is there. You start great, you're pushing it, you had a pulse of it, you were flag carrier, you made it all the way, but now it's sitting there looking pretty and not going out. Yeah, but I want to make sure that this one thing is still there. I want to make sure I add that one piece. But we can still do this. What if we add this? Stop. Sometimes you just got to get it done. So if you want to keep the water moving, if you want to go A to Z, if you want to increase that trust, then you have to go out there, and if you're going to come up with ideas, if you're going to coordinate those things, if you're going to put that into production and move it forward, and then if you're going to sit down and distribute it, and then you're going to go back and adjust based on the information that you gathered about this project or about this initiative, then you got to make sure that it was done. Not perfect, done. And from there, the company goes and says, hey, I had 2 teams. One team was given a project, the other team was given the same project. This team is just kind of waiting on us at the moment. This team is already asking about the next one. This team right here came up with some good ideas, but they haven't coordinated anything yet. Hey, this team came up with ideas, but nothing's in the calendar. When is this launching? We have a lot of questions. You know what? Let's slow down. Why don't we go and meet with this team? This team is already working on the 3rd, 4th, 5th project. So if you're an intrapreneur, you want to be trusted more. You want to trust your team more. Is the water moving? Is the water moving in your company? Are the projects moving in your company? By the way, this video right now is coming out a couple of months before the end of 2021. Is the water moving in terms of your business plan and strategic thinking for 2022? Are you ready for next year? Are you preparing for next year? Are you thinking about next year? Or is everything just kind of, are you waiting on the CEO or the company or the executive team to give you the plan for next year? How many new ideas have you prepared for next year? How many books are you reading for next year? What's the next level of recreating yourself? What's the next level for your team? What do the departments look like? On my desk right now, we just met recently talking about the organizational chart. We just met talking about the next innovative campaigns. You know, what are the next people you're going to collaborate with? What are the next things you're going to move into? What direction? Facebook is launching metaverse. You know, we have so many different things happening with NFT in the Bitcoin world, and Elon Musk is doing something crazy. How are you adapting in order to increase the trust your company has in you as the intrapreneur, as the right hand, as the number 2 for the company. How are you keeping the water moving right now? That's this week's Intrapreneur mindset and message for you. I do want to remind you that intrapreneurs aren't born, they're created, they're made. If you're at a company right now, you're like, you know what? I don't know if we have intrapreneurs. We have just great employees. We have great managers. Well, intrapreneurs are bred in-house. Intrapreneurs are created. Intrapreneurs are given an identity. You water that identity, and then you develop that over time. Nothing of what I'm talking about right now is somebody that graduates and comes in thinking like a flag carrier, thinking about, I'm going to have a pulse on this. I'm going to move up. People come in and they do a job and they generalize. But you got to get them to specialize in order to gain this kind of a mentality. Hopefully, these tips and hopefully this mental framework helps you in order to come into work feeling a little different and just approaching the environment and your team a little different as well. From there, if you haven't seen my other episodes on the topic of intrapreneurship, go check these out, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next episode.